The following program is sponsored by Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County and the generous gifts of these contributors.
Welcome to our 46th season of Mosaic. I'm your host, Susan Shulman Pertnoy. Mosaic is Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County's weekly news magazine, exploring the most critical issues facing Jews here and around the world. For 25 years, Birthright Israel has given Jews around the world the gift of visiting their ancestral homeland. Today, we explore the history of this incredible organization, find out how it's grown over the decades, and look to its future. Join us for a trip with Birthright Israel ahead on Mosaic. We're so proud to celebrate our community visionaries, donors who contribute $1 million or more, serving as an inspiration for all of Jewish Palm Beach.
Since October 7th, we have seen our community come together in ways we could not have anticipated. And that's what led to the Activating Jewish Life movement. The Activate Jewish Life movement is a first of its kind. Intends to connect with families with children, to connect with teens, to connect with young adults, and ensure that they always feel as though they're part of something larger than themselves, being part of a larger Jewish community. It's such a unique opportunity to be able to launch a bold initiative just like this. The Activate Jewish Life movement is going to be a game changer. However people want to engage with Jewish life, we want to make sure that we are providing them with an opportunity to engage in ways that have relevance and meaning for them. Thanks to our partners in the Jewish community and our Federation agencies, what an opportunity we have to change the face of Jewish life.
One of the best ways to combat anti-Semitism and all forms of hatred is through education. Learn more about the complex issues that lead to hate at jewishpb.org/standuptohate. Welcome back. Joining us today is Kate Smith, who is the Associate Vice President of Birthright's Foundation.
Thank you.
And Lori Komisar, who's Vice Chair of the Foundation's Board of Directors. Welcome to Mosaic.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Let's start with you, Kate.
Sure.
As the professional, you have to know our audience is very broad, and a lot of people don't even know what Birthright Israel is. Can you give us a little overview of its history and its mission?
Sure. Thank you so much, Susan, and thank you for inviting Birthright Israel to be here today. It's really special that we're here in Palm Beach, home of Charles Brofman and you and your husband, Ronnie, so thank you. So Birthright Israel was founded by Charles Brofman and Michael Steinhardt in 1999-2000 with this dream of having all Jewish young adults go to Israel, 18 to 26 years old, to see and to feel and to be in Israel and to feel what it feels like to just have fun in Israel and meet their Israeli peers, no strings attached. Who would have thought that now, 25 years later, we've sent 900,000 young adults to Israel?
That's quite something. Why do you think he felt it was so compelled to have young people experience Israel?
Well, as time went on, as we got further from the Holocaust, and our children were growing up in the golden age of Jews, and they were assimilating, and they were finding less importance in their Judaism and more importance in being a part of the United States. My children are example somehow with it, but and I really think that Charles, he recognized that at some point this was going to be very difficult and deleterious to the Jewish people, and we would have no continuity. And we are the oldest people of all peoples on earth. So he wanted that to continue. He did.
He did, and it's very powerful. Charles was not able to appear on the show today, but he has sent a message, so we're going to watch that right now.
I've always believed that we have one Jewish community, whether it's in Israel, Russia, the United States, or North America, South America, everywhere. And I could see the division between all these areas. And I thought the united we stand, divided we fall. It's fundamentally a learning trip. And one of the things we decided at the beginning was that you learn when you're having fun. So the thought behind it was to shorten the trips, increase the age, and let people have a good time. And while they're having a good time, let them learn about who they are, where they come from, what their heritage is.
Lori, how did you become involved with Birthright?
So my oldest child went on Birthright in 2007. I knew nothing about it. She came home. I said, was it fun? Yes. Okay, great. Nothing. My second child went in 2010. And interestingly enough, about a year before she went, my best friend from childhood, Richard Schoenstatt, of blessed memory, but he called me up and he said, something wonderful is happening and I want you to help Mark and I, another friend. And he said, we're going to start this Birthright thing in Chicago. And I said, oh, Miriam went on Birthright. So fast forward, I decided to have a dinner in my home. I invite people, and one of the people at the table said, and I don't know much about it still, but one of the people at my dinner table said, well, can we speak to someone who went on Birthright? My second daughter had just come home for Thanksgiving, and I said, sure. And I called her down, and I said, these people have things to ask you. I had never asked my children what their Birthright experience was like. It was amazing. And then they started asking her questions, and her face lit up, and I'm watching it flow for her, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I really should learn what I'm doing here. And I was very impressed. I was impressed with my daughter, I was impressed with the program, and I was like very upset with myself. And so then I dug into it, and I started to learn. And then my third child, my son, went, and he went 3 years later. He went on Birthright, came home and said, I'm going on Onward next summer. And I said, well, what's Onward? And he said, call the Federation and they'll explain it to you. And that is how and then I really did a deep dive. That's when I got there.
Yes, you're so committed.
Yes.
Yes.
And I get more and more committed as time goes on.
How has the program grown over these past few years?
Sure, Susan. It's really, we have to meet the needs of our young people, and they're constantly changing. They're on their phones. The information is just endless. So we have to make sure that the trip is fun, educational, and timely for the moment that we're in.
Lori, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I do. Actually, we're no longer just the 10-day trip. We have sent $900,000 on the 10-day trip, but we've also evolved into Excel, which is a professional type of internship in the summer, which is a phenomenal program.
And is that for college age?
It's for college age students, and if they can fill out the application, I give them a lot of credit because it's long. And then Onward used to be part of the federations. It was started by a couple, and it grew too big. They came to us and they asked, can you take it on? And that's also internships. They're varied, but most of them are summer internships. It mirrors sort of what Excel is, and that has grown leaps and bounds. I think there were 3,000 young people over the last full summer that went.
Do you have to go on a Birthright trip first in order to experience these other programs?
No, my son did it that way, but you can, some go on Onward first, but then they give up the Birthright, but they can do Birthright and Onward in the same summer.
Oh, that's amazing.
But actually, we would like them to do it in 2 separate summers. It's 2 touch points in Israel for them.
Sure, I can appreciate that. So how are federations involved with Birthright?
Look, we couldn't do our work without all of our partners, including federations. Federations were one of the first partners that we had, and really we send trips every year with our federation partners. So it's a remarkable and needed partnership.
Yes, and I think it's a natural partnership
Exactly,
too,
Susan.
because it's just helping Jews connect with Jews.
100%.
And it's federations all over the country.
Yes.
I'm Chicago Federation, and we're in Palm Beach Federation
Yes,
here.
absolutely. We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this brief message. Up next, we explore Birthright Post-October 7th. What's changed and what's next? Ahead on Mosaic.
Israel's economic security is at risk. The October 7 terrorist massacre and Israel-Hamas war are having a disastrous effect on small businesses in Israel. Now there's a way for you to help safeguard the financial stability of millions of people. Visit jewishpb.org/loansdonate or scan this QR code to learn about Federation's Israel Emergency Relief Business Loan Program.
February is Jewish Disability Awareness, Acceptance, and Inclusion Month. Jewish Federation and the Jewish Disabilities Network are committed to the inclusion of people with disabilities in our community. Learn more at jewishpb.org/JDN. We're back with Kate Smith and Lori Commissar talking about Birthright Israel. October 7th devastated the Jewish world, as well as the rest of the world, but specifically the Jewish world. And everything came to a standstill as far as trips to Israel. How did Birthright pivot to become relevant after October 7th?
Incredible question, Susan, and really it was a moment where we saw our alumni shine. They reached out to us immediately and said, we've got to get to Israel immediately. So within moments, we launched our volunteer program where our young adults were helping with the labor shortage in Israel, helping rebuild the land with gardens and farming and rebuilding in the south. When 2025 is finished, we'll have sent 10,000 young adults to Israel to help volunteer.
I think they also extended the age group in the volunteer program. I think it goes to 50?
Exactly, Susan, because that's the age of our oldest alum. So we wanted all of our alum, regardless of when they went on their trip, to have the opportunity to go.
It's really remarkable. I mean, I wish I could have gone because
too.
you really make a difference.
You do. And our young people want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to just sit in the States and just wait. They want to go and they want to help.
So is Birthright also, are they providing trips on a traditional Birthright track as well, or just the volunteer? How is that working?
Yes, so our classic trips, we've incorporated a volunteer component to it, and we also have our volunteer trips. So it's silver lining that this volunteer piece came out of October 7th.
How does Birthright organization handle the security over there?
Safety and security is of the utmost importance to us. We have a reputation that when we send our young adults to Israel, that they are safe and they are secure. If our trips were not safe, we wouldn't do them. We're in constant communication with the Central Command Center in Israel, and trips are constantly being looked at with their itineraries and what's safe and what's not. So we feel comfortable, and we hope our parents feel comfortable sending their young adults to Israel at this time.
They do, because by the numbers you can see that they do. It is remarkable.
It's very remarkable.
Yeah.
I was there in November, early November of 2023, arranging the trips, and literally 1 week later we launched them, and the website crashed because so many young adults wanted to go.
Isn't that something?
And I personally know a couple, a mother and a father, they got 3 kids, they tossed a coin who was going to go first.
It's unbelievable.
Well, you
Incredible.
feel like you're really giving back in time of need. It was a very smart way to deal with the war. And it helps the country and the economy, because so many people are conscripted to the military that their businesses are just left with no one.
Yes.
It's
100%,
extraordinarily
it is.
important. What are you looking forward to for the future of Birthright?
Oh, I see amazing things. I mean, if you think about, we've already sent 900,000 worldwide from like 68 countries. I see worldwide jewelry coming together more and more. I see that when a Birthright alum goes to visit Argentina, they can call me and I can say, well, my cousins in Argentina are Birthright alums. Why don't you go stay with them? I see it for business. The world is so open to these young people being part of this quite large group. 16 million Jews in the world, 900,000 have been on Birthright. It's compelling.
That's quite a statistic.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
And just think how many doors that opens for our young people.
Do you have anything to add, Kate?
I think, when Charles Brofman started the program, I can't imagine that he would have dreamed that we would be the largest educational project in the world.
25 years later.
25 years later. So we are going to be honoring one of our founders, Lynn Schusterman, in this winter, and we just see the sky is the limit for us, and our young people need us, and we hope to send 200,000 young people to Israel by the year 2030, which will cost us an additional $650 million, and we believe we can do it.
That's very ambitious. That's
we're excited.
Great.
We know we can do it.
We know we can do it.
We have the best product in the Jewish world.
I agree.
Last year we, for I think under the age of 30, we were 87% of all tourism in Israel. So we're also building Israel. We're bringing money there. We're bringing, workers there. We really have a great platform.
We have to take our last break. We'll be right back after this message. Coming up, we'll talk to a Birthright alum and hear about her experiences visiting Israel. Stay with us.
Since October 7th, we have seen our community come together in ways we could not have anticipated. And that's what led to the Activating Jewish Life movement. The Activate Jewish Life movement is a first of its kind, intends to connect with families with children, to connect with teens, to connect with young adults, and ensure that they always feel as though they're part of something larger than themselves, being part of a larger Jewish community. It's such a unique opportunity to be able to launch a bold initiative just like this. The Activate Jewish Life movement is going to be a game changer. However people want to engage with Jewish life, we want to make sure that we are providing them with an opportunity to engage in ways that have relevance and meaning for them. Thanks to our partners in the Jewish community and our Federation agencies, what an opportunity we have to change the face of Jewish life.
Did you know that you can now enjoy Mosaic on the go? Listen to the Mosaic podcast by scanning the QR code on the screen or find it wherever you listen to podcasts. We're so proud to celebrate our community visionaries, donors who contribute $1 million or more, serving as an inspiration for all of Jewish Palm Beach. Welcome back. Joining us now is Sasha Arenberg, an alum of Birthright Israel.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. I'm so glad that you can join, and we want to hear about your Birthright trip. So why don't you tell us?
So I went to Birthright on my Birthright trip in May of 2016. It was my first time ever in Israel, and I went on one of the standard 10-day trips. So we went to Jerusalem, Tel Aviv. We stayed on a kibbutz in the Negev desert, which was amazing. And we went with about 50 other young Jewish people and 2 IDF soldiers. We all became really close. It was an amazing experience.
Why did you want to go? I was curious.
Yeah, I'd always wanted to go to Israel. I had a really close friend of mine that was also Jewish that I went to high school with, and she called me up one day and she was like, there's this amazing program called Birthright and we have to go. And so we applied. We got accepted, and I don't think I realized at the time how big of an effect that would have on me. We actually ended up going back to Israel together the next year, we were studying abroad in Prague together, and we spontaneously said, you know, we really miss Israel, let's take a trip. So we went again. But that's how I ended up going on Birthright, and to this day, I still talk about it 10 years later.
And how has it changed your life?
I have turned it into, you know, this advocacy work that I do. I now do work for Birthright Israel on the other end of it. I actually ended up meeting Carol Ann, who works for Birthright, and we met at a Palm Beach synagogue event. And I told her about how big of an impact that this organization had on me. And so since then, I've been giving speeches, I've attended events, I've helped to fundraise. And the idea is that, A, we want to get more young Jewish people to go on Birthright trips, and also fundraise so that Birthright can send everyone to Israel that wants to go, because they are free trips.
Not really, because you need the funding.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But it's free for the young person
Yes.
that wants to go, which makes it very accessible, because let's face it, going all the way to the Middle East isn't easy for everyone. So it's a way to get young Jewish people excited and to make it accessible for people.
Why is it so important for alums such as Sasha to share their Birthright experiences?
Sasha's it. Sasha's the reason why we do what we do. We could just, send these kids to Israel and really have no impact. But hearing from people like Sasha and hearing how it changed her life, she's just one story out of thousands and thousands of young people that their life have been touched by Birthright Israel. She's the reason why we do what we do.
That was very sweet.
It's true. And
It's
didn't
true.
you start an Instagram?
I did. I started Jews of Palm Beach. I started that about a month after the October 7th terrorist attacks, and it was born really out of a frustration for all of the misinformation and the anti-Semitism. And I think growing up in a Jewish community, I really was shielded from a lot of it, but also there's been a huge uptick in all of that within the last year and a half. And so, but it all really started with bringing me back to my roots, going to Israel. It all really starts with that. And so that's why I think it's really important for young Jewish kids to have that experience at an early age, to have that connection, to have those memories and to learn on their own so that they can counter, the misinformation that's so carelessly tossed around these days.
What's the most effective way, in your experience, to promote Birthright trips?
Hopefully having more people like me who have had such an amazing positive experience. I think Birthright is doing that more often now, having people that are alumni speak at events, but I think really to be able to hear it from someone else and their own experience is really important. And I think there's also this fear. I keep telling people I really want to get back out there. I really want to go back to Israel. And a lot of people say, well, is it safe to go? And the truth is, first of all, it is safe, but there's no safer way to do it than to go with Birthright. You have security with you, you're going to all of the right spots, you have IDF soldiers with you, which we haven't even really touched much on that. It's really amazing to get to spend 10 days with IDF soldiers. And there's no better way to do it, I think.
So let's just talk about the IDF soldiers, because we
Yes.
didn't mention that in the
Great point.
Birthright trips. It's a combination of kids from the diaspora and the same age IDF soldiers, so that they have that interaction and learn about each other. And you think that they would be different, but don't you discover that there's a lot of similarities?
So many similarities. It's really amazing. When you go on these 10-day trips, you're about the same age as these IDF soldiers. So you're about 18, 19, 20 years old typically. And these soldiers who are fighting for their country are around the same age. But you find that, it's kind of like with all Jewish people, right? You're with each other and you feel like you've known each other your entire life. It's almost like you don't live on opposite ends of the world, living completely different lives. So I think it's a really important part of the experience too.
Yes, I think so too. Sasha, what are your most impactful Birthright experiences?
Well, I think this may be a bit of a typical answer, but I loved seeing the Western Wall. And for everyone who's been there, I don't know if you can really describe it unless you've been there yourself, but I grew up pretty reformed, but being in front of the Western Wall, it was really connected me to my religion, to my spirituality. There's really nothing that parallels that experience. And I know I've touched on this a bit, meeting the Israeli people, getting to know those 50 other young Jewish people that are on your Birthright trip and the IDF soldiers was really, you remember those people for the rest of your life.
That is very special. How about you, Kate?
Thank you, Susan. I was able to participate in a closing session of a Birthright Israel group, and I got to hear all of the young adults speak about their trip. And there was one young woman who was the first person in her family to go to Israel, and she spoke about what that meant to her and also what it meant to her parents. And listening to her, if it wasn't for Birthright Israel, she would have never gotten to Israel. She would have never been to her homeland. That, to me, I still think of her and how the trip impacted her life and her whole family, and then everyone around her.
And multiply that by thousands.
Exactly.
Amazing. So if somebody were watching this show and said, I want to go on a Birthright trip, what would you say to them?
Well, first of all, there aren't many opportunities that you're going to get to go on a free trip to the other end of the world. But also, I don't think there's ever, and I know I've said this, but I don't think there's ever been a more important time, if you haven't been to Israel, to go to Israel, to learn about the region for yourself. A lot of people that talk about Israel or talk about the Middle East right now have never been, and unfortunately a lot of them probably couldn't point to Israel on a map. So to go there, to have those experiences, to meet the Israeli people, who, by the way, are some of the sweetest, most kindest people I've ever met. If you're well traveled, you know that not every country is like that. They love Americans, they love having visitors. So to be able to have those experiences for yourself, there's no better way to combat the anti-Semitism and what we're seeing today.
Hands
Do you have
down.
anything to
Hands go. Just go.
Yes.
You won't regret it, and it
No.
will change your life.
It really will. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Susan. It was our pleasure.
Thank you. This is wonderful.
This program is sponsored by Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County.